If you live in the UK, you've probably heard the noise about trans rights lately. But why is this debate back in the headlines? Let's break it down. No fuss. The UK is facing big changes, and the debate over trans rights is right at the centre. While some worry it's just American-style culture wars spilling onto our shores, the truth is these issues have deep roots right here at home. Since 2004, trans people have been able to change their legal gender. But the process is long, expensive, and for many, downright intimidating. Now, a push to make things simpler, letting people self-identify, has sparked fierce arguments, especially over access to women-only spaces like toilets. Some say it's about protecting women's rights, others call it a smokescreen for discrimination. So why are we still debating? Because behind the headlines are real lives and real consequences. And as the UK wrestles with these questions, the conversation is far from over. I bet you didn't know that support for trans rights often comes with a pretty hefty asterisk. It's the classic nothing against you, but... And here's why that's a problem. Let's be real. Plenty of anti-trans lobby groups claim they're just concerned, not prejudiced. They say trans people deserve rights, but then add, just not at the expense of women and girls. Sounds fair, right? Until you realize their concerns boil down to arguing trans women aren't really women, no matter what. They use big words like biology and reasonable debate. But it's a clever smokescreen. Take a closer look and you'll spot old-school ideas repackaged. Trans women as threats, transition as dangerous, and gender identity as a myth. It's the same playbook used against gay people decades ago, just with a new target. So next time you hear we support trans rights, but ask what's really behind that but. Empathy means listening to everyone, yes, but it also means spotting doublespeak when you see it. Let's challenge contradictions and think critically. Everyone deserves better than empty support. Are you baffled by why debates over trans rights suddenly feel everywhere? You're not alone. Let's unpack how America's culture wars hopped the pond. While the UK has its own history of discrimination against trans people, the real storm has brewed in the US, where the now infamous bathroom bills sparked a fierce backlash. These laws, fueled by evangelical Christian groups and conservative policymakers, insisted people use facilities matching their birth sex, not their gender identity. Republicans and some feminist groups formed unlikely alliances, arguing trans rights threaten social norms or women's safety. The result? US debates, full of drama and divisive rhetoric, made their way to the UK almost word for word. But here's the twist. Most Brits aren't buying it. Surveys show overwhelming acceptance of trans people, yet a small, vocal minority amplifies imported fears in headlines and parliament. Honestly, arguing that trans women are a threat for genetic ones is ridiculous. Trans women are their allies against a common threat: toxic masculinity, misogyny, and male violence against women, whether trans or genetic. So, the next time you hear these debates raging, remember, you're witnessing a global echo, not a homegrown storm. Effectively accusing an entire group of potentially being sexual predators, an accusation of being guilty until proven innocent, is not the sort of behavior that one might expect to be tolerated in the UK. It is not only tolerated, however, it is seemingly encouraged. As a strange principle of precaution, transgender women are deemed guilty until proven innocent. Women's spaces need to be protected from these intruders. This has the added advantages of avoiding scrutiny and action against the real threat against women, whether trans or genetic, toxic masculinity, misogyny, and violence perpetrated by males. While the focus is on the highly improbable alleged violence of transgender women against genetic women, women are still killed every day by their male partners and nothing is done about it. The debate about trans rights in the UK is currently toxic, but it would be disingenuous to both sides why this situation has arisen. A determined group of people have taken their cues from fellow thinkers in the United States to lobby for the GRA not to be positively reformed for trans people, but to actively make life more difficult for them by denying them rights they currently enjoy and have been practicing for years. These groups have used their influence in the media to push with impunity a narrative that trans women are not safe and should not be allowed to use female facilities. They have pushed a narrative of raising reasonable concerns and just asking questions. But the reality is that they have helped to demonize an already vulnerable minority. In doing so, a tiny but vocal group of women, not representative of the total population, seem to project all their resentment and anger, fueled by the violence they received from men, by redirecting the same violence towards the harmless transgender women. Such an easy and defenseless target. It's a classic pattern in psychology that people project what they receive. Racism, received and then given, being a good example of that. But the demonization of a group may not always remain a non-violent pastime. A group of people infused by conspiracies disseminated in the media over a period of time need not stay cognitively radicalized. Sometimes they become behaviorally radicalized and turn violent. That should worry any sentient person observing the present UK debate on transgender rights. It is time for genetic and trans women to unite, for their own combined safety.